Well, this afternoon the battery was at 13% when he hooked it up to a jump pack. The automotive guy was nice and came over and jumped me. I'm sitting here idling it. But I checked the oil today in the coolant, and I put a bottle and a half of coolant into it. Before I did that, the oil was regular oil. After I did that, the oil was slightly greenish and smelled like coolant in the oil. So she blew a head gasket sometime in that last drive. But the weird thing is, it hasn't made much of a difference in sound, see? I don't know if you can hear it. It has a slightly different idle because the computer don't know what it's doing. That guy really, the backyard home mechanic, old guy that used to own this before they sold it to me after he died, he kept it going for his wife to go back and forth to school or someplace, or the courthouse, I can't remember. 17 years there in Detroit, Michigan, but he really jacked the electrical part of this up. The computer has no idea what the engine up front is doing and vice versa, and it's just, I mean, I don't have a gas gauge. The coolant gauge does whatever the hell it wants. I think it's half-assed like it's supposed to be. Like it says empty on there in the gas. I put 3 gallons in the other day, and I think there was at least 3 gallons in it when I did that, so I have like a quarter of a tank, not empty like that, but it sits there on empty for 200 miles. Gas gauge is all messed up. Transmission's going out. In third gear it decides to slip, and you have to manually shift it with the gas pedal and let off the gas to shift it into a different gear, and it fights you when it's cold. So the engine's blown, the transmission's going out. The starter might be having problems because every now and then it starts and not starts, but that's a different kind of issue. It might be the battery or the alternator. The battery's weak right now because I use the direct line right there, which is a good thing to use if you're driving every day. You can hook one of these up directly to your battery and it's fine, but don't do it if you're going to be sitting somewhere. I should have installed a kill switch on the end of this so that it's not continuously using power even when I'm sitting there, and then I shouldn't use it outside when the van's on, and unless I'm driving. That's exactly why they have this one wired only to when the van is on, which makes sense, right? Because for that reason, because the computer doesn't know how to work with an extra 5 amp draw that's continuously coming off of that. If I plug 2 phones in, especially my newer phone and my bigger jump pack, this is the little one. I don't know where the big jump pack went. My van's kind of dirty right now. I apologize for that, but regular van life. Anyway, like I was saying, I have the charging problem. I have the electric problem up front. I have the blown head gasket is the newest issue, and the bad transmission. I mean, it's got new tires, but that's pretty much the only thing. And then the rear brakes, like I was saying the other day, are out. The one on the passenger side is gone when we looked underneath it today, and that one has a little bit of rubber left. The 2 in the front are good. That automotive manager dude was really nice and checked everything over. Even after he just voluntarily asked if I needed help looking at anything, and I asked him about the brakes and whatnot, and his conclusion that this thing needs to go onto a tow truck and to the junkyard whenever I can, because it's going to leave me stranded on the side of the road eventually, because it's officially just now blown the head gasket, and it ain't worth the money to replace it because everything underneath has 17 years of Detroit rust. Fuel lines are rusted out and everything, and it's not worth trying to replace it. It's probably not safe to be on the road. If I got in a wreck, it'd probably crumple right up like a rusted pop can. Unfortunately, but I knew when I bought this that I don't think it was going to last very long. I had the money at the time from that stimulus that we first had, $1,200 stimulus back in the day, and I was being kind of forced out of expediting, because that company was shutting down. Not giving us a load but once a week, and then I finally gave up on once a week, and sitting all week in a truck stop expediting was just not worth it in my life. If I was going to do that, I would want to be having a free life to do whatever I want in a van life, and that's why I chose to go buy a minivan, even though I knew it would only last like about a year. But you have to deal with what the vehicle in the current area that you already had to buy. I had to buy one out of Detroit area to drive out of there. It would have been cheapest. I looked into bus options, I looked into flying and everything back in the day, and it would have cost just enough to where I couldn't buy a van, because everybody wants, and that was back in the day, and everybody wanted, even for a minivan, $1,000 easy minimum for crap like this, and then I ended up putting $2,000 worth into it, in the tires and the brake job. I forget what all went into it, but it's about close to $2,000. So I think altogether, if this makes it till April, which at this point is highly fucking doubtful that's gonna make it past a week, might make it this month if I'm lucky and I'm able to baby it enough and I quit having charging problems. But the way it's sounding, I don't think it's gonna last very long. And then now, like I say, with the blown head gasket, especially I can't afford to sit here and idle it. I'm idling it now to charge the battery back up, because like I said, that on this meter there it showed 13%, so it needs to idle for at least an hour to charge it. So I don't have a choice. It's charge the battery and risk the engine, or not risk the engine and not have a battery. And I'd much rather be able to at least be able to move it around the parking lot if nothing else. But this Walmart kind of wants me to, move on down the road, because I've been here 3 days. So I'm going to go across the street to Hib here in a little while after this idles, and see how it drives in the parking lot. When I drove it back across, I was over on the other side of Walmart, and when I drove it back over here to automotive in case something happens, I noticed that it don't want to drive. It's so low on power, it was trying to die when you hit the gas pedal. So now it's getting better on idling. But van life is, you combine that with the fleas, and this life is not worth it at the moment with the fleas. The combination of everything, and I need to change it in my life. I'm not a big fan of going back on foot, preferably because of the weather, but at the same time, this is getting old. And coming up with the money for insurance every month now, since my 6 months was up with that one car insurance, and so on, I just don't think it's worth it. Just too much wrong with this to where I'd have to deal with it every day, and I don't want a vehicle where I have to deal with it every day. I would like a half-assed dependable vehicle. Part of the charging part is my fault, for trying to charge my phones, and I was alternating my phones and only putting one on there at a time, but it still don't matter. It just takes it down, because it's taking 5 amps out an hour. Every hour the phone's on, whether the van's on or not, and it's fine while you're driving it. If I can afford the gas to continuously drive, 100 miles a day or whatever, like I was doing before, it'd be fine, because it would charge it up during the daytime and almost acts like solar. Charges during the day, and then I use whatever at night and charge during the day again. But with sitting here 2 or 3 days at a row, which would be the cheaper way to do van life if you can afford to sit there, I recommend, if you were gonna first off recommend you not sit in like a Walmart parking lot for 3 days at a shop. But if you were gonna try and extend your van life, if you were down on the broke to the brim of being broke or whatever, and have to watch what you use for gas, then I would put a regular kill switch on the actual battery, disconnect the switch on the front, and then you can park it someplace and disconnect it. And I would also recommend having a jump pack, just in case, so you can avoid that kind of issue, and then have a different kind of power source altogether to power your phones and whatever you got to do, and then you could afford to sit someplace. Because then if they come and got you and asked you to leave, you could just turn that back on and leave and go. Not that it should get to that point ever, anywhere that they should have to come and get you to ask you to leave. And I hate to do that to Walmart or anything, but I'm just so damn broke, I can't afford the gas to continually do that every day and continually drive, or else I'd just be staying in one night someplace and gone. But I've been trying lately for this last month and trying to do 3 days at somewhere, and I'd go on one side of Walmart, other side of Walmart, and then down at the far end of Walmart for a day or two if I can. But I would, continuously move so it don't look like I'm there all day, every day in the same spot. But with the power issues, I've been having problems with that. Anyway, I'm gonna try and upload this video. Sorry, my video content has not been the greatest lately. At least it's during the daytime now. But yeah, and I did the stand-up thing just to see, because the other day, the first 2 minute auditor that I watched the other day said that YouTube is now supporting the portrait or landscape version, whatever the hell they call this, straight up version, and it works on everything except for TV. So if you're watching this on a TV, I apologize for the thin window that you get to watch it in, but everywhere else gets a nice thick video like what I'm seeing, because I'm videoing it. But I don't know when I'll be able to upload this, because again, uploading takes a lot of power and Wi-Fi, and I'm having power issues at the moment. So if we get this $1,400 here and I still actually have the van, then I might invest in a small jump pack that I can take in my backpack that doesn't weigh, like those huge car packer jumpers, but does have cables on it so that I can jump the car if I have to. But I don't know, I just every day dealing with this, either no gas or no power, or now it's starting to tick, and now I checked it today and it had antifreeze and oil. It's saying it's done, wants to be done, and I'm gonna try and, it'd be nice if I can make 2 more months in it, but at this rate, I don't know if I'm gonna make it at the end of this month. But it is what it is in van life. I'm just ranting and raving. I don't mind either way. I can go back to living on the streets and sleeping on cardboard, and I was fine with it. I was perfectly fine with it. I was doing it by choice. There's places that I could go. There's 2 or 3 houses that I could go stay at, but they happen to all be up north, and I don't like the snow, for one thing. And then you're living in somebody else's life. I'd much rather even be on a piece of cardboard out there living my own life than living somebody else's life, in that matter of speaking. But I don't know, lately I've been thinking if they do that $15 an hour job pay raise increase, I might sign up and go back to Walmart because I get a 50-cent increase in raise. And that might make it worth going and doing just a study apartment in Walmart life in Miles City for a while, because I look back at my history of where all I go and when and why, and I keep going back to Miles City. And if it wasn't for Rapid City or Miles City being snow and 6 feet of snow and just bitterly cold in the wintertime, I'd be up there. But that's just a mindset, you know. I get to the first winter of doing that and it would suck probably, but after that you'd be used to it, you know. You'd be back to, you know, it's long more as time goes on and on and on. You'll forget the fact that, well, not forget, but it will not affect you as much that you're down here in the south in the wintertime and you're not having to be in the snow. But I mean, the other day I wasn't in the snow, but I was at the edge of it for here in Texas and had the snow type temperatures, 20 degrees. What can you do, you know? I'm on the one point, I'm 50-50 basically. I'm ready to get out of the van life and do something else. But then van life is easier than going on the street, so I don't know exactly what to do yet. I know what I'm going to do in the summertime and stuff. The adventure goes on either way, and I like the idea of, if it wasn't COVID, I like the idea of hitchhiking and just go out there and live the adventure. One day of life. You know, that backpack life is totally free. We don't have any kind of bills. I mean, if I didn't want to pay a phone bill, I wouldn't even have that. You just literally have food and water and that's it. Unless you want to pay for some kind of public transit service or something. Other than that, your life is totally free. Not to say that van life isn't. Van life's got its issues. If I could stay in a van without the temperature problems, without the flea problems, and with a dependable vehicle, then I would stay with van life. But I don't know, I'm starting to think maybe, except for expediting, there's a chance of going and expediting using a newer work van that I don't have to pay for, just have to drive and maintain. Thinking about possibly doing that if the industry's gotten better, but all the posts I've seen on Facebook is the industry got worse, or is the same as it was after COVID went down. Anyway, like and subscribe, leave comments, and we'll catch you on the flip. I'm going to try to do more videos whenever I can. Like I say, I got power issues. Peace.